Hi, Carolyn. It's Amber.
Hi there, how you doing?
Good. Look at all your pretty flowers.
They were part of my grocery run. I did not make a separate run.
You didn't pluck them from your garden?
I did not pluck them from my garden.
Mm.
All right. I see lots of people popping in. We're going to get started at 11:30. Give everyone a minute or two to come on. Great to see people I haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah, the gallery view's the best.
Yeah.
I think it's been a learning curve for lots of people who don't normally use it. I don't know if you guys saw this or if you saw it, Carolyn, about someone was on a Zoom call and actually went to the bathroom during
With
it.
their
They
computer.
weren't
And I felt,
aware that everyone could see. So, yeah, good times.
yeah, big learning curve. Don't take devices into the bathroom.
There you go.
Note to self. This is fantastic.
Yep, numbers are climbing.
Yeah, I see that.
So cool.
All right, it is 11:30, so we are going to get going. So welcome, everybody. I am really glad you're here. I'm Carolyn Freyer-Jones, and I'm glad to get to be with you right now. And first, before we get started, I'm just going to introduce a couple of key people who I work with and who are here to serve as well. I will first introduce Amy Ruby. She is the director of the CFJ Coaching Success School, and she is a fantastic coach in her own right and serves people all day long. So Amy, thank you. I'm glad you're here.
I'm glad I'm here too. Hi, everybody.
And then we have Amber Chris, who is the primary faculty member along with myself at the CFJ Coaching Success School. And she is also serving people all day long. And she's a fantastic coach and has just really demonstrated such great strength of heart for people she's serving right now. So Amber, I'm glad you're here.
I'm really thrilled to be here. I can't imagine a better time for all of us to come together.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's do this. Just in service to us all connecting, let's just take a few moments and you can all close your eyelids and just take a few moments and I'll lead us through and I will let you know when it's time to open your eyes. It's just a way for us all to get connected at this time. So everyone can close their eyelids and just take a breath. You can take another breath in. And we're just going to ask that each of us here and those who will be watching the recording just be cleared at this time. And we ask that everybody around the world just be surrounded, protected, and filled with that clear white light of living love. And we ask that this love extend to all the first responders everywhere around the globe. We ask that anybody who is in fear or is suffering, that they be blessed at this time with love and compassion. And we ask that that compassion and love extend to ourselves and those close to us. And we just take a moment in the silence to use however you choose. Maybe there's an intention you have for your participation today, or maybe there is just the word peace that you want to send on and around the planet, whatever works for you. And I'll let you know when it's time to come back. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. right. Now we can get going. So I want to set up some guidelines for our time today because I want to make it as productive and useful as possible for all of you. I have been a professional coach for, gosh, over 15 to 18 years now. And newsflash, I've never coached through a pandemic. So I am by no means an expert here, but I'm going to share what I'm seeing. I'm going to share what I know in service to you. And we're going to do this together. And I hope it's not, this is not rocket scientist. No one has a playbook for a pandemic. Nobody does. There's nobody with one specific answer. And so from what I can see, many of us are being really, it's a time to really be with ourselves in this and make choices day to day and sometimes moment to moment about how we're going to be with ourselves and other people. So I'm going to set up some context. The first thing I want to say is that I am going to open it up. We will do some coaching so we can talk about what's happening in your world. We can talk about what's happening in your practice. We can talk about questions you have. That's all will be available to you. And we're not going to use the chat room unless something, if you're having a technical challenge. We want everyone to stay here with us, because if everyone starts chatting on the chat room, it gets really distracting for people. Now, if you have a burning, like, what did Carolyn mean, or what did Amber mean when she said that? You know, we'll allow, and we're just going to ask that you stay present. Our intention is that you get wildly served today and that you feel resourced inside, right? That your sense of resourcefulness is restored if it's not currently present, that your sense of possibility is restored if it's not currently present. And, you know, to me, I'm just going to start by saying, like, I think this is one of the most important times that we can be in this profession. I don't think there's any profession that's better, because unlike many people right now, our ability to serve is not being taken away, right? People who work in restaurants, people who work in salons, people who work in those kind of positions right now, they cannot serve their people, or they're finding other ways, but we can. We can be serving people right now. We can be serving people all day long. And it's really important, obviously, that we can't serve others if we're low, right? If we're afraid, if we're scared, if we're feeling panicky about our future, we can't serve very well. And I say that because I know what it's like to be that way. And I do my best to never send an email when I'm panicked. I do my best to never send an email when I'm scared. And I do my best to not leak my own fear into my communications. And that's a guideline, pandemic or no pandemic, right? That as professional coaches, our communications really matter, right? So even now, when I'm reaching out to people, I'm not reaching out to people from a place of like, oh my God, this is terrible. Are you okay? I'm reaching out to people from a place of, how are you doing right now? Right? It's very possible for us to project our own concerns even into one sentence, and it can be felt. So we want to really check ourselves. Like, am I coming from neutrality? I have no idea what's happening over there for someone. Many people are okay. They're in their homes. They might be feeling strange because we've been thrust into this new reality, but in essence, they're okay, right? And other people may not be. They may be feeling lots of fear and disturbance. They may have a family member who is dealing with the virus. They may be dealing with the virus. So there's 8 million possibilities, and we want to really come from a place of like curiosity. I wrote to the coaches who are in my school just yesterday, and I said, one of the most valuable things you can do right now is reach out to people with one sentence. It's like, dear Amber, how are you doing right now? That's it. Just how are you doing? I think that's a really important service we can do for people, and not just people who we coach or people that we've been in conversation with, but even people in our family and with friends, right? It's like I'm texting more people now, just getting in touch with people who I haven't talked to, just being like, how you doing right now in all of this? The other thing I want to say that I think could be helpful right now is this is a time where everything is heightened, right? Fears are heightened. Exuberance can be heightened. I was listening this morning to Dr. Shafali Tsadbari. I really like her. She's putting out a video every day now around what's happening. And I so appreciate her. If you haven't checked her out, she's definitely worth checking out. And she was talking about this, about how fear is so natural, right? Like if you're human, you're going to feel fear. So the objective here is not to feel fear. The objective though is to be with our fear and know that that too can move. It's like waves. So I have waves of fear sometimes, and then I have waves of like upliftment. And that's all part of this. And the biggest thing that we can be doing, if you're feeling fear or nervousness in your own life, is to ask yourself in this moment, am I okay? Not jumping into the future, but I don't know if I'll be okay in 3 months. I don't know if I'm going to have enough money in 3 months. To be like, nope, that's not going to serve right now. Am I okay right now? Right now. It's a key question for people because so many of us are jumping into the future and imagining a future that is either not great and certainly not helpful in our nervous systems, or we're imagining, it's like we don't know. And really what this whole experience is pushing on for everyone is we don't know. And we never have, by the way. This just heightens that sense of it. We never knew. Our calendars made us think we knew, right? Like I thought, I'm good. I was supposed to go to France in June with my family. That seemed like rock solid, not so much anymore, right? We don't know. And the more that we can work with that, right? And make room for that, I don't know, the more we can be more relaxed in this. And it's a scale, right? Sometimes I'm really relaxed and sometimes I'm a little less relaxed. So we want to make room for just wherever someone is. Like, I don't want to make someone else wrong if they're in upset and disturbance. And I don't want to make myself wrong when I'm there. And this is a time, and this is where we're going to start opening it up. This is a time to use your skills. This is a time to reach out to people. One of the things we've noticed in the school is coaches are starting to feel a little bit like, is it okay? You know, ooh, I don't know. I don't want to intrude. There's so much going on. And my message is there's nothing you could do wrong other than not to do anything. If you're not reaching out to people, if you're in inaction, that's the only way to get this wrong, right? We don't want to be paralyzed by, we had just had someone, a coach in the school who had a client who is a doctor. So she's a doctor, she's in New York. And I remembered that this coach had coached her, and I reached out to the coach and I said, have you reached out to her? And she said, no, I haven't. You're right. And she went back and forth like, ooh, should I reach out? It's a Saturday. I don't want to bother her. She waited till Monday and she reached out, and the doctor was like, it would be so great to be able to talk to you. And they got on the phone, and right in the moment, this coach served this doctor who is literally on the front lines in New York. And they talked about what's happening. They talked about how the doctor can work with their own feelings about what's happening. And the coach just did a lot of listening. You know, the coach gave her a place to just share what she's seeing and what she's experiencing. And it was so helpful. It was so helpful to that doctor. So don't diminish how you can help people right now just by listening. In fact, listening is really probably more effective right now than attempting to coach, right? A lot of us are like, ooh, I want to coach people in the pandemic. I want to coach. And it's like right now, you creating a space where someone can just talk about their nervousness and going to the grocery store, their nervousness and being able to get the right milk for their baby could be huge, huge. So that's what I have for right now, but I think more will come as we open it up. So I want to open it up to you, right? That's what this time is for. It's not for me to talk at you. It's for you to ask questions and to get assistance on what's happening in your world, right? Because this is, remember, the name of the webinar, serving yourself and your clients in uncertainty, right? So I want to support and serve anyone who's got some of their own uncertainty, or like, hey, I have this client situation going on, or I was about to start working with someone and they pulled back. So we're going to open it up. You can raise your hand. If you look at the bottom of your screen, you can raise your hand and click raise your hand, and then we can see what's happening.
So if you don't know where that is on this, on the Zoom at the bottom where you have your mute, you can click participants. And then on the right-hand side, you'll see all the names of everyone here. And then at the bottom of that, you'll see a button that says raise hand, and you can click that to ask a question. And we're getting hands.
I see some hands raised. So why don't we start, Amy, with, I see Americ Thorpe, and then we'll go to Coach Jones, because I have to know who Coach Jones is.
Yeah, I want to know who Coach Jones is as well.
Right? I mean, I'm like, who's that?
Good to be here with you. Thank you. I love these, and you're a master of service. So I am doing well here. I'm in Portugal and having a beautiful time of it.
Oh, wow.
So,
how
yeah.
are things there?
You know, it depends where you're at. I'm in a fishing village. I'm looking out at the ocean. The sun is setting. It's gorgeous.
It's a good place to be.
It's a good place to be. And the reason why I'm happy to share this is I have not really a client, it's a friend prospect, and they're kind of suffering from what they call survivor guilt. So they're from New York City, but they're living somewhere else now, and they have a lot of friends and family who are back there, and they feel bad in some sense that that's other people are going through what they escaped, you could say. So it's a really sensitive conversation, and it's really interesting for me because I also am pretty, there's always a crisis in some regard. If people want to look at it like that way, you can always find something, right? So there's always something in people's lives. And so this is another something with a different taste, feel, and strength to it. But it's a really interesting conversation to have with somebody about this idea of survivor guilt, and then how to sort of play with it, address it, be compassionate with it, of course, but also to acknowledge and look at it for what it really is, right? So feeling our thinking, creating stories, so on and so forth. But I'm not so, the reason why I said what I said is because I'm not so, I can be really compassionate and tender, but I also kind of just want to say, look, so I was just wondering if you could maybe reflect on that with all of your expertise and knowledge, and maybe share a few things. Because I really just love everybody, you know, we suffer so much unduly, but
so
anyway, that's really my question. If you could.
I appreciate your question, Americ. So I want you to finish that sentence though for me. You said, I'm compassionate, and I also want to say, look, there was another sentence I'm thinking, like, what do you, what's the thought?
Yeah, it pulls into a longer play, like, look, this is you actually causing yourself suffering by creating stories that aren't necessarily true. And also the same feeling of guilt has been one that's been expressed before. And so it drops into a different conversation that, you know, extends depending on the person before me and how they're expressing themselves back to me.
Sure.
So I would be able to explore it that way. And generally it's one of those things. I did mention to him, I said, what it is maybe you need to check in, because you're probably actually, you say you feel helpless, but because you want to be able to help people, but I have a feeling that maybe in reverse, you actually want them to want you. And so you're actually buying into their dramas and to their stories so that you feel useful to yourself.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
Yeah.
So a question, can I ask you a couple questions? See, one of the things I think that's really important right now in any conversation we're having is there permission?
Absolutely. And I was seeking that before I always.
Yeah, like, and I mean, like, hey, what would be helpful, right? Like sometimes I'm saying to people right now, what would be helpful? Do you just want to be heard because I can do that? Or are you wanting me to reflect anything around my thoughts on this?
Absolutely. I explicitly said that to him, in fact.
Great.
I said, I'm just willing to listen. If you want to talk about it or you want my response, you want to create around it, we can. But sometimes I understand that you might just want to speak your mind and be heard. So,
you know, look, I think, I mean, Merrick, everything you're saying could be accurate, right? Like he could have stories he's making up, and I don't disagree. I mean, and I think also right now, you know, I mean, I'm from New York. I don't have survivor's guilt. I mean, I'm not like, I don't feel bad for where I am at. I have a lot of room for the people I love there. My family's there. My parents are there who are 85. And I think it's important. It's just, it's kind of like you got to proceed with caution, right?
yes.
Because even if someone says to me, oh yeah, I want your thoughts, I want to be really like, wow, like that must be really hard to have survivor's guilt. I want to really go like, that's challenging.
Yeah.
And the thing I want to see if I can help them with is like, I wonder what would be helpful to you right now. Like, I want to ask them, what would be helpful? Because I can't imagine that feels good right now. Like, what would be helpful right there? Because in a way, I want to see, do they have a sense of like, well, I wish I could help people there. And I'd be like, well, maybe you can. I mean, like maybe there are ways you could reach out to those people in New York that you care about and be there for them because you're not there. See, I think one of the greatest things we can do for people who are in those environments, like the coach who talked to the doctor in New York, is the coach is not in New York. The coach is in California, and she can really hear it. And you can say, is there a way you could maybe make yourself available to those people and just connect with them?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, because when I was listening to Shefali Tadbari this morning, one of the things she talked about right now is about action. That one of the greatest things we can do to get out of what we're in is action and altruism, which is service. So that might be another way in, America, is to say to this person, you know, I'm curious, are there things you're doing that are of service right now to people? That I'm just curious, because I know for me, if I start getting low, my way out is service.
Yeah, absolutely. So these are all things. These are all things that I went into the conversation with, and we spoke about in some regard. It's a really new kind of topic, this idea of survivor's guilt, to speak to somebody about. And also, I really appreciate, there was something you said, one of my challenges actually is in this, that I kind of struggle to say to somebody, like you just did, you like put on a face in such a beautiful way, like, I really understand how challenging this is. And you just went into this really, it's kind of beyond empathy. Like, I'm very empathetic, but it's almost like there's a sympathy for them and their plight. And sometimes I'm just like, hey, I understand.
You're like, come on.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, exactly. I'm like, it's so good. We're alive. We're breathing still. We're just like, and you know, I mean, I've had many close things with death and so on, so I don't poo-poo it in any regard. I just also see that we're so blessed in so many ways. Anyways, I don't want to take up any more time. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Merrick, I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, I will
keep enjoying Portugal.
Oh, I will. Okay, ciao.
All right, who is Coach Jones? It's not me.
Jonesy.
Jonesy.
Hi, Carolyn. Hi, Amber.
Good to see you.
You as well.
How can we help you today?
So first, thank you for putting this on. Your email that you first sent out, I don't know, about 2 weeks ago really spoke to me. I'm one of the service member people, and you know, I'm a personal trainer and I'm a coach. I work with kids, you know, and so no kids are in school, no sports are happening, no gyms are open. So I personally am not freaking out yet, although I've had moments in and out of it. I'm like, you know what, I'm going to make it through this thing. I fully intend myself. It's an intention, and I'm being very intentional about it, making it through this and being healthy on the other side. And making the best of the situation, because right now I'm not working. And so when I read your email, what spoke to me is that actually two things. One, now's the time. right? For coaches to step up, and because it is needed, you know, and I've been that sounding board. I've been that place for my family, my friends, people around me. And also I'm doing it all voluntarily right now, just because that's what's needed. So what really is there for me though is how can I come out of this on the other side and have something that like, so I can be making money as well.
Sure.
You know, I don't need it in this moment. I know that there's a lot of people who are like me, and I'm happy to be where I am doing what I'm doing. But like on the other side of this, you know, I've only got so much cash that's not going to last very long. And on the other side of this, I've got to be able to come back and do something and make money and continue doing what I do best, which is serve. Like there's two things that I do best. I love unconditionally, and I serve. I'm just out to serve people. And so that's what, you know, your email spoke to me, and that's why I'm here.
No, I'm so glad you're here, Jonesy, and I so appreciate you. And I've been served by you, so I know what you do. And so do I have permission? I want to kind of get a little more practical with you. Is that okay?
Yes.
Are you, and this is more because I know Jonesy in two capacities. I know him as a fitness coach, and I also know he has a lot of skills as a personal coach in the life coaching arena. You know, Jonesy, are you doing like virtual training with anybody, any of your kids? Have you thought about that?
I have, and I'm only doing it with one. And then I have on a second client who's just I've offered it to him, but he's just paying me as if we were training.
Great.
So that's what I've got at the moment.
Great. So one thing I encourage, and this is for everyone, even though, you know, this is a little more specific given some of Jonesy's work, this is an opportunity to get really creative, right? Like we have a coach in the school who had to pivot fast. You know, she had intentions to do a group that was going to go to Greece. She had to pull back from that. Obviously, nobody's going to Greece right now. You know, and she's redoing the group, and there's going to be a bigger virtual component up front, right? She had 2 people who were already enrolled. So she's shifting that to a different kind of context. She's probably going to have a retreat at the end, but it's like to be determined. And Jonesy, I just think of you as someone who's so creative. I'm like, you could write to your families of these kids and say, I'm going to offer a series of virtual fitness groups for kids. And we're going to meet 3 times a week for 4 weeks. And all they need is to have an open space. They don't need any weights. I will walk them through it. It will be 45 minutes. Trust me, people want their children away from them. Like anytime my daughter, she's taking like a fashion class right now online, like great. Like things that keep them active and full, and you're great at that. See, I encourage you. And part of it is not being tentative. So one thing I want to say to everyone, people are like, ooh, you want to be like, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm offering. I want you there. I want you there. And Jonesy, with parents, you can say, I want your kid there. This will really help them. Mm-hmm. You could obviously do individual sessions, but I'd be like, I want your kid there. We're going to do 2 months. It's going to be twice a week. And this is what we're going to be doing. It helps people feel a sense of containment. Like, oh, he's leading. He's directing me. He's helping me know what's available. Versus, do you think you might want this? Or maybe this would work. We want to be like, this is what I'm offering. There's someone else on the call today who does a ton of art coaching, right? She does art coaching. People go and meet with her live. She does this incredible experience. She pivoted really fast. And all of a sudden I got something from a friend who's like, hey, she's doing 2 kinds of virtual art classes for groups. And you can do AM or PM. And she moved quickly on it. And it wasn't like, maybe people would want this. She's like, here's what I'm doing. Here's how you register. Here's the fee. I didn't have to think a lot. I was like, I want to do that. 6:30 to 8 p.m. at night, once a week. I'm in. Easy. thing to be aware of, people have more time on their hands. You know, it's like people are sitting around, more time for conversations, more time for creative opportunities. It's like I signed up for a Courage in Poetry program with David White, who's a poet. Now, if you had said to me 6 weeks ago, hey, you're going to sign up for a Courage in Poetry group, I'd be like, what? I don't have time for that. And now I do. So don't diminish that people are looking for ways to enrich themselves, looking for ways to connect and do different things. And right now is a time for you each personally to go, how am I going to grow myself as a coach? Like, I'm like, I want to take a Courage in Poetry Zoom class because it's going to make me a better coach. I'm not going to recite poetry to all of you, I promise, but it will deepen me. And you all want to be thinking about, how am I going to deepen myself right now? One of the big questions to be asking yourself is, how do I want to use this time? How do I want to come out? What do I want to grow in myself? Right? It's like we get to be in a cocoon right now. And we get to decide, how am I going to, who am I going to be on the other side? What am I birthing in myself? And you can take this question and ask people this, right? If you have current clients, it's like, we're in a tunnel right now. How do you want to come out of the tunnel?
Mm-hmm.
So Jonesy, is that a little helpful?
It is, yes.
So I really invite you, you have people that you are already serving. You got to get on the court with them.
Okay.
Don't get quiet. Don't go dark. Come
Okay.
up with a program and go, this is what we're doing.
Okay.
And I also want to say to you, given you do have real coaching skills beyond just fitness, there may be a few people that you already serve that you might want to be like, hey, how you doing? Let's have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And there could be a combo that you say, look, what if we did 3 sessions where we do a combo of getting you back on the court with your fitness, but we also talk about how you're doing.
Okay, I like that.
Right? Because then you get to use all of you.
Yeah.
How is this all landing for you?
It's great. It's the big thing is action over inaction. And you, however you said it, is don't go dark. That's kind of what I do. That's like my MO. That's the thing that I.
Oh, you're a pro? Are you a pro at going dark?
Yeah. Like, okay, I ain't got nothing to do. I'll just. So.
Yeah, see, you going dark doesn't help you, and it doesn't help people in your world. Yeah. We can feel dark. I have lots of moments of feeling dark right now, but I'm not going to go dark.
Yeah. Okay.
So do we have a deal? Are you going to put something in motion?
I am. Starting.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent. Jonesy, I'm so glad to hear that.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
You as well.
All right.
A little housekeeping. Can you make me a co-host? Right now, I'm not a co-host.
All right. Remind me again.
You go to participants. Should click to my dog.
I'm looking for you.
Our neighbor. It says, it looks like John's picture, but it says Amy, Ruby, me. If you can, it's okay, but I can't. The next person up is Terry Chase.
All right, let's do it, Terry.
Hey, Carolyn, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thanks. Hey, listen, one of the things that's been happening to me, I reach out a lot to healthcare providers, particularly nurses or nursing leaders or people in my world, because that's a world that's very familiar to me and close.
Right.
And I get a lot of, I'm too busy. And I'm like, okay, you know, so I'm trying to, I mean, I did speak with my coach this morning about this, but I thought this would be another opportunity for us to explore this a little bit about, and it might be helpful to others as well, because there are people that are really very busy and who are
right. They're out there doing their jobs, helping people.
Right. So can we talk a little bit about how to approach that? Yes, there are people with a lot of time on their hands. And in my world, I think there's a lot of people who could benefit from coaching and from a listening standpoint, not like I'm going to tell them what to do.
Right.
I even started a new email address called Terry Listens to You. And send that out. And I sent it out with a story that I wrote about how it was so important for me to have a nurse listen to me when I was in the hospital. And, you know, I'm not getting anything from that. So, you know, and in addition to that, you know, calling people or emailing people saying, hey, I'm available to you, your staff. And I get the, well, don't you see we're really busy right now? And I'm like, I do. So how can you help me with that?
Well, first, I know who your coach is, right? So what did your coach say before I want to hear,
Oh, no, just tell me. Just tell me. You mean the big K? Well, we talked about, for me, about deepening more inside myself around what it is, you know, I intend to offer to people. So yeah, so I get that. And so it's really
Okay.
my ideal scene, you know, creating an ideal scene from a deeper place.
Okay,
You know, and I'm very familiar with ideal scenes, and
of course.
it's like, so I said, okay, I'll do that for next week's call.
Good. All right, so then I'm going to be a little more practical and tactical with you, okay?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. So I think it's important, right, that we all acknowledge that healthcare workers right now, right, and the administration, they're all in this incredibly intense situation.
Yeah.
And so I can appreciate, right, that some of the responses you're getting are like, I'm too busy.
Right.
Like, so I think you're going to have to do a couple things, Terry. I think you're going to, first of all, I think one person at a time versus like a big email, one person at a time.
Yes.
Because I think people respond better when they feel seen, right? Like when the coach reached out to the doctor, it's like she just reached out to her, nobody else. And so I know you know people specifically.
Yes.
And I wouldn't start per se with being like, let's talk. I might just start with, how are you doing right now? You've been on my mind.
Okay. Okay.
Like just see if it opens up.
Okay.
It's like, I know a doctor right now, and I said to them, look, if it would be helpful, we can talk, and this may not be the time. And they wrote back to me and they said, you know, it's not the time right now, but it may be in April. And I said, got it. And there's no expiration date.
Okay.
But I'd start with, how are you doing? Like, write to them, write to the people you know.
Right.
And you have relationships with. This is not a great time to try to like bust in with new people in a way, like, because they don't know us. Right? Like, it doesn't mean you might not meet new people through this. I think we all might, but I think we have to be careful. This is not a time to try to like bust through to new people. We want to look to our community. Terry, there are people in your world, either that you were connected to prior in your own life, or now that like those are where you want to see if you can be of help.
Okay.
And very like gentle. How are you doing right now? You've been on my mind.
Okay.
Tell me how it's going there.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
We don't need to be heavy-handed. It doesn't need to be fancy, right? Like, it's just like, how's that going? How's things going over there?
Right. Right.
Is that helpful?
Yeah. And I think, you know, I have reached out to individuals, and I think what it was, I had that, how are you doing? And here's the things I can offer you and your staff.
That's it. That's it.
All right. That's that. Okay.
Too much.
Okay. Okay.
Too much. We want, like, this is not the time to be talking about us and what we can do.
Got it. Okay.
It really never is, by the way.
Yeah.
We don't really ever want to be like, hey, I can help you with this and that. And we don't want to do that. It's like, we want to be focused on them.
Got it.
How's it going over there? And that's it.
Okay.
I just was looking at an email of a client, and they were reaching out to someone in the corporate world that they know. And they were like, you know, the person wrote like all this stuff that's happening in their world. And they were like, the person wrote back and was like, you know, I want to serve you right now, and I have ideas, let's talk. And I wrote back and I was like, nothing about your ideas.
Got it.
Nothing.
Okay.
I don't want my ideas. My ideas are my agenda.
Okay.
I want to be like, tell me like I want to talk to you so I can help you walk through all the decisions you're making, including that you're going to have to lay off a lot of people. I want it to be all about them.
Okay.
Is that helpful?
Yeah. Yeah.
So pull way back on what you can do.
All right.
Got it?
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate it
You got it, Terry.
so much. Bye.
All right, Amy, I think I did it. I think I made you the co-host.
Rock. Allison Arnoff is next.
Okay.
Hello,
Hi.
I am in Redondo Beach, California, so I'm just outside Los Angeles.
Okay.
First, thank you. I've gotten a lot from the previous chats that helped with it, but so my challenge is I'm having trouble getting out of my own way to serve. Just quick background, still struggling building the coaching business. Had major surgery in January, so just stopped working for a few months, was just rebuilding it. About to launch a mastermind for tech executives, female tech execs. And they're all like, now is not the time. And so I started thinking, well, I just want to serve. And so I was thinking of reaching out to all the bosses I had. I spent 30 years in the tech industry. And I'm having trouble getting out of my own way because I think I'm making it too complicated, because a lot of them don't know I'm an executive coach now. I haven't talked to them for a while. And, by trade, years ago, I was an engineer, so my overthinking can be a problem sometimes. So, Rich Litvin had done like a template for this, and it just didn't feel like me. It didn't feel natural. They know me already, so they know who I am. I just want to let them know I'm there for them, but it's like I'm overthinking. I haven't talked to them in 3, 4, 5, some of them 8 years, 10 years. I don't want them to think I'm trying to sell them anything right now.
Right.
I really want it and I think they know who I am as a person, how genuine I am, but I'm making it more complicated, and I'm not doing anything right now.
So you're kind of in the I've gone dark. Would that be accurate?
Well, no, not completely. I did set up personally a Facebook group called The Safe Space for friends and family, and I'm creating videos every day, and then I'm posting them in other places in case people want to join. And so I am serving, and I'm getting, and these are not target clients or prospective clients. I just know that my philosophy is you can be holding on to your fear and the buckets of fear and anxiety, or if I'm reaching out to help other people, then I don't have the hands to hold on to my buckets of fear and anxiety. So I'm serving personally how I can. Now I want to add that professionally as well.
Sure. So first of all, I acknowledge you. I love that idea. Like, right, if we're holding on to our fear, but if we're out there giving to others, we can't be so tight on our fear. It's great. It's a great idea, Allison. One thing I would suggest, it's like when we start reaching out, I don't know, past 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you're right? They haven't talked to you in a while. You got to go slow. You can't like come out of the gate like, let me talk to you. It's really gentle. It's like, it's been a long time. And with everything happening, I've been thinking about you. How are you doing on your end? Super simple. It's been a long time. We haven't talked. And gosh, you keep coming to my mind right now. How's it going over there? It's got to be gentle. It's got to be not like, let's get on the phone. It's like, we can support people. We can like just have an email conversation, right? I don't need to get on the phone right away. And that can be a place where coaches often get like, well, let's talk. And then people sort of feel a little accosted by it.
Yeah.
It's like, and I offer to you, Allison, if you want to serve right now, those tech women that you were going to do a mastermind with, was anybody enrolled? Had they paid a fee, or where were you at in that?
No, we're just going through the enrollments, but I did offer all of them, if they needed support, brainstorming to be heard or listened to, I offer them all the opportunity if they needed any support.
So I can only share with you what I think I would do if I were in that situation. It's like, if I had 10 women who were already in the process of potentially doing a group with me, and they pulled back because of, obviously we're in a new environment called pandemic, I would be like, first of all, I would agree with them. I'd be like, absolutely, this is not a great time for a mastermind of this nature. And here's what we're going to do. I'm going to give you each 2 calls to use however you want, and we're going to get them scheduled. You'll each have 2 calls with me. My gift to you right now, no strings, but that's what we're going to do. Now, what do you hear in that?
Well, I've already offered them calls. So
No, I understand, but what do you hear in how I'm saying it?
Well, I felt like, get it scheduled now. It felt like a little like pressured. Like I would have been I wanted to just make the offer because they have enough things pulling in them right now. I just want them to know that there's a safe space if they need it.
And Allison, I trust your own sense of it. See, it depends, right? Like for me, there are people who I'm going to be more directive with right now because otherwise in the light of what's happening, people they don't make decisions well right now, right? So if I offer too gently, depends on the person though, it's all context. If I offer too gently, they're just going to flitter away because there's so many things pulling at them.
Well, what other things? I'm sorry, go ahead.
And then there are other people, and it depends, where I'm going to be like, nope, sorry, I'm not letting you get away without a call. I want to talk to you. I want to hear how you're doing. Now that's a fine line, right? That's all contextual. And I trust your sense of it. If you're like, oh, that would be too much for these women, I'm with you. So
well, I did set up a Calendly link for Wednesdays because what I'm offering is keeping Wednesdays open for everybody. And so I can say, well, I know it's not if it, maybe just softly put that in there and say, because I just created a whole like Wednesdays through April. I said, I'm keeping open for any executives that need support or space. And so I haven't set the link. So maybe just say, I just wanted to send you the link in case you want to take up the order, to make it really simple for you at any time.
And you might send a resource. So right now, people are hungry for resources and not resources about how to wash our hands.
Yeah.
Because I hope we're all good on that, right? Like I don't want another article about how to wash my hands. And I'm so grateful that I believe me, my hand washing has really like up leveled. Mm-hmm. I'm way better. I'm sort of sad about the person I was before. So we don't need that. But really think about a resource, and Amber may have more to say about this, about like what would be something simple that could help them right now. Do you have any thoughts about how you might do all this, Amber?
Well, I have a question, Allison. Are you individually emailing them or are you emailing them as a group?
No, individually based on the conversation. So I always make sure there's some personal connection in there. I don't ever do mass emails like that.
Great. Well, I just know that you had the 10 women or the 10. Yeah. So I didn't know if you were.
No, everybody's getting individual message based on, them and their conversation when I know of them.
That's beautiful. You want to keep doing that.
Yeah. I mean, connecting is the easy part for me, right? It's the next step that is challenging for me.
How I sort of think of this time, I want to allow for more space. Like usually in my correspondences, if I don't hear from someone within 72 hours, I'm going to circle back. So I want to allow more space right now. I'm usually allowing at least a week before I circle back with someone. Otherwise they can feel really inundated. And are you taking this would be what I would do. I would sit if you have a meditation practice, or if there's time in your day where you can just sit and think about that one person. What's the last thing they said to me? What do I know that they're facing right now? If you know, and then you may get a sense of a video that you've already seen, a podcast episode that you've already seen. Brene Brown, this goes for everyone. I'm sharing it like crazy right now. Brene Brown just started a podcast. I have found the first episode, they're all really beautiful, but the first and the fourth episode, she really talks about comparative suffering. She talks about bridging the gap inside of your family. There are some real practical offerings. Something like that could be really valuable. And when I send that, I'm not going to send it and just be like, I thought you might like this. I'm going to send it and be like, I listened to this and I found it valuable. This made an impact specifically around my relationship with my husband. I know from our last conversation, you said this. I thought you might get something from it.
So super specific is what I hear, Amber.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting because all the women that potentially are in the group will actually interview 30 or 40 of them. One of the questions is, what are you afraid of? What keeps you up at night? And so I have all these answers for all of these things. And so I like that. I'll go back to the scripts for each one of them and do that. And then for my old bosses and old coworkers, you've been thinking about me and just wanted to see how you're doing. I like that because I had this whole template, and even my partner, he read it and he's like, that just doesn't sound like you. And it was really about, and I think, I think they know me well enough to know I wouldn't come out and sell to them after not talking to them for so long. I mean, they did know me. They did work with me. They know I lead with heart. Yeah, it was just getting in my way about it, just overthinking it, because I haven't talked to them in a while, and I don't want them.
Thought that I wanted. Go ahead, Allison.
No, I said the story I was making up was that they were going to think I had an agenda. So since I made up that story for them already, I didn't have to take action.
It's good to see. Really good to see. And I wanted to highlight this earlier when you were talking too. If they don't know that you're an executive coach, don't tell them that right off the gate. Right? You just want to reconnect with them. However the relationship was in your past, however they knew you in the past, I'm thinking about you. How are you? Because then likely they will respond and share how they're doing, and that will open the conversation where you can then start to share about how you're doing. And when you do that, you can layer in the shifts that have occurred in your life, in your work.
Yeah, well, when they get the email from my coaching email, it'll be a little bit of a tip too, but and the signature on the bottom of the email. So there's going to be some clues there, because it's not like I'm using the business email because I'm no longer with the company with them. But,
if they're looking, because right now people are not noticing things, right? So just be aware. And I think what Amber's saying to you, Allison, I think this is for everyone. Whether you're a coach or a therapist, we are in a relationship business. We are in a rapport building business. And, look, I build people who want to connect with me. I want them to go slowly with me, right? I want them to be gentle with me. I don't open the gates like for anyone. And we want to think about, what would I want? What would work for me? And I so acknowledge you, Allison, for being like, I want to be real. I want to be real for me. I want to sound like me. It's really important, right? That we be real and we sound like ourselves.
It's
so
like,
bravo.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I even get wrapped around the axle about, like, my partner, he and I were talking about, like, the subject line, to not sound corny or marketing or, just thinking of you, or, so it's so funny how even like the subject line can get you wrapped around the axle a little bit.
So can I offer you and everyone something on that?
Love it. Of course.
The only way to mess it up is to not send it. The only way we can mess things up right now is to not do anything. We're not being helpful to people if we're hoarding. And I'm not talking about hoarding toilet paper. I'm talking about hoarding our ability to connect, hoarding our ability to just say, how you doing?
Yeah.
So everybody, we could all ask this question of ourselves: what am I hoarding right now? Am I hoarding my gifts? Am I hoarding my ability to connect and love people? Am I hoarding my ability to share beauty in the world? Because some of you have things you could be offering as complimentary, just as a gift right now, right? Some of you have beautiful gifts that you have. And you could be like, I'm going to do a complimentary 2-hour webinar about this. And you have people who would come. And that could be an incredible service right now with no agenda, no loaded give, no strings. That's what this is, right? It's like, I'm here to serve you. That's it. So let's take another question. Thank you, Allison, for sharing. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Jackie Shea's next.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you so much. Hi, I'm so appreciative of this time and this service. Thank you, and it's such a treat to get to hear you, because I know so much about you. So I actually have two things happening, and you can address whatever of them, whatever you think is more important, but I wrote them down so that I'm clear. So I have a full roster. I have 11 clients right now, and 4 of them came on right before this took off. Everyone has a project they're working on, Everyone has what they're in, what their game is, what they're going for, right? And it's been really like I'm struggling with when to keep a person on their project and when to be like, things have changed. Like we need to reel this in and look at what's occurring in your life right now. Like take that action off the project tracker, take that action off, change that. And I'm really like, I know that it's different to each client, and I know that it really depends on that particular individual's past resistance to doing things, excuses, all kinds of stories. But I am struggling in my leadership, and I've so appreciated the general message here that is like listening, backing off, being gentle, compassion. That's been really helpful for me. And I guess I just didn't know if you could dive into that a little deeper. And then can I throw the second thing that I have in now?
Let's do one at a time. We can absolutely do both.
Okay.
So tell me, I'm curious, like, can you give one example of where you're thinking a client should back off of something and they're not?
Where I think a client should back off of something and
of an action?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I have a client who is so fierce and so committed, and she had like, you know, a lot of actions for her public speaking career, and she was putting together a workshop, her first ever workshop, and like the people for her to enroll in her first ever workshop, and she had other things, you know. For her, it's like she's very fierce. Now she is homeschooling her 9-year-old who has learning disabilities, and it's very challenging. And she's looking for more money work at the moment, and she keeps sending me these project trackers, and I just see her like drowning.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's an example.
I love that. Thank you, Jackie. That's a good one. I mean, I can tell you what I might do. So I might be writing to that client and be like, hey, let's get on the phone. I want to talk with you.
I'm taking notes and not texting.
Thank you so much for that. I'd be like, hey, let's talk. And I wouldn't care about if it's in between sessions.
Okay.
And I'd be like, and I want you to, we're going to do a bonus session right now. And I'd go really slow, Jackie. I'd be like, so listen, I want us to slow things down. Would that be okay with you? And I'd be saying, so here's what I'm noticing. Your life has changed really radically in the last 2 weeks. And I think it's important that, number one, as your coach, I acknowledge that. And I want to see where you are with that, because now you're in a situation where you're homeschooling your daughter or your son, and you have this amazing project. And I'm not here to derail you ever. And I also want to slow it down and go, what's really in service right now? Like in service to what your life is now, not what it was 3 weeks ago. And I want us just to both talk about this, because, you know, this is not set up to make your life like the project's an amazing project, and I'm for you proceeding in a way that works in your life. And then I would just be like, what do you think? I would really be like, where are you? Because this person could be feeling like, I paid this money and I've got to do it, and my coach thinks I should do it, and she thinks it's like she'll have thoughts if I say I want to pull back. People project onto their coaches, onto their therapists, onto their husbands, wives, you name it. We project everywhere. So she may be trying to do a good job for you. We don't know. So I would get real curious and real slow and be like, tell me what you're seeing. Tell me what's happening for you over there. Because look, I think there's probably ways that she could look at what's really working, but there may be a real opportunity for her to keep going because it helps her, right? Like she may really need this right now, right? Now, I'm not saying I don't know what the results are going to be, right? People may be less available. But there's no question, and this is for everyone on the call. This is a great time to be connecting with people. It's like, it's a great time to build relationships. It's a great time to reach out, not with our own agenda, but like this period of time will end. We will come back into the world. Now we'll be different and the world will be different, but this is a time where it's like, she may not be able to book a talk in a week, but she can be like, okay, look, how am I going to nurture certain relationships? How am I going to help people right now? Like, I'm giving a talk virtually next week in a community that I know could really use it. They reached out to me. So I'm doing a talk virtually and I'm being paid for it, Jackie. So it's possible.
Right.
Is this helpful?
Yeah, no, it's totally helpful. And then I guess I'm wondering, like, this is where I think I really struggle. And my coach is on this call, so she's probably laughing because she knows where I struggle. But like, I think I really struggle in like so much gentleness, because I'm like I'll be so compassionate with people that I'm just like, everyone just go to bed, like love yourself and go to bed, and like it's gonna be okay, like I'll get very like just put your hands on your heart and pause everything. So my tendency because of that is to like push people more sometimes, because I know that I'll buy into the story that they need to stop, right? So then I have.
All right, so can I give you some like really amazing rock star coaching?
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Right.
Look, woo, that was fancy, right? Like really, like Jackie, you can calibrate. I offer to you that you have the ability to calibrate, and that you not assume anything right now. Don't assume what would serve people.
Okay.
Like, don't assume going night-night and pulling up the covers is going to serve them right now. Like in my world, I'm like, I don't want to pretend to know what would serve. It's like, for your person, it could be like being in action could be so helpful. And pulling back a little could be really helpful. It might be a combination.
Right. Okay, beautiful. I really like that. Don't pretend to know, or don't assume what would serve people.
Don't assume, none of us right now, right? Because that gets tricky. Like, because we're making up stuff about people. I don't want to, just like I don't want to assume that nobody's going to have a client. We have coaches who are enrolling people right now. So it's easy to globalize right now, right? You talk to two people who say, oh, now's not a good time. And then we globalize. We go, oh, nobody wants to talk. Nobody's going to take coaching right now. We don't want to do that. We don't want to globalize, right? It's like some people are going to be more ready than ever. Because they have time, they have resources, and they have something they want right now called, I don't want to be this way anymore. I don't want to live my life like this. Right. Or I want to do this project, Jackie. This is important to me, and now's my time.
Right. Okay.
Helpful?
Very helpful.
Glad you're here.
Thanks. Can I ask the one other question?
Oh yeah, what's your second one?
Oh, okay. It's that I feel very full. I actually don't have a lot of time on my hands. Like I feel very full. I'm in service. I am spending my other time like really resting and wanting to read and wanting to meditate and wanting to do my own creative project, like really filling my own cup. And I have a lot of people in my life and a lot of need. And what you were talking about earlier is like, really now's the time, don't hoard, right? Like don't hoard the ways you can help people. Oh. And I'm feeling like people are reaching out to me, my friends, my community, people who are living alone are reaching out to me constantly. And I'm feeling like I am tapped. Like I actually don't want to be supporting as many people as I'm supporting. And I'm feeling bad about that. And like people really need support right now. My loved ones too. Like I want it, but I'm like supporting my clients and then myself and my fiance, and I'm living and like I'm tapped.
Yeah. So can I offer you something?
Yeah, no, everything, anything.
Is there permission inside of you for that to be okay?
Yeah, it is. And then I have friends that are like mad at me about a friend that is mad at me about it. And then I'm like, then it feels like it's not okay. So I have permission inside myself until somebody is like not okay with it. And then I'm like, I guess it's not okay.
See, and I just want to be a voice for, is there permission for her to have her feelings about it? And you still can take care of yourself. Look, I live my life by these principles. Take care of yourself so that you can help take care of others. Don't hurt yourself and don't hurt others, and use everything for your learning, growth, and upliftment. Everything. And there's no sacred cows in there, like everything except pandemics. Everything except friends who are mad at me.
Right.
It's like, so you can, it's okay. Like, you know, if I had a friend who was mad at me, I might be like, look, I'm so sorry. And I get that I'm not there for you right now. And I know that this is really upsetting for you. And that's not what I want. And I'm just sorry. And I'm really watching, my teacup is not full and I can't give to you if it's not full.
Yeah.
And you could make a new agreement maybe, Jackie. Maybe it's like, look, can we make a date for 10 days from now? And I'm going to be there for you, but I need some time.
Yeah.
So part of it is, are you willing to like really advocate for yourself and what you need so that you can be there for others?
Yeah, no, that's a beautiful way you just said it. Last night I was trying to think like, how do I say this? And the way it was going to come out was like, I'm so busy. I'm having a different experience. I was like, no, that's not how to say it. Definitely not. So I just stopped. And that's a beautiful way. Like, look, let's make a date. My teacup just isn't full and I'm so sorry. Like
magic words right now for everyone. I'm so sorry. Because you are.
Yeah,
I'm
I
so
am.
sorry. Like my mom is really not liking that she cannot get her sliced chicken from Stu Leonard's in New York right now because she can't go out to the store and she's really mad. I mean, this is everyone's comforts are being taken away. That's what we're all working with, right? So for my mom, 85 years old, not getting the chicken she wants right now, that's hard for her. And I get it. And I'm like, I'm really sorry that you can't get the sliced chicken you want. I get it. And that may seem like I could easily over here be like, people's lives are falling apart and all you care about is your sliced chicken. But that's her world.
Right. Right.
Helpful?
Yes. Can you just tell me quickly the first two things you said? The first thing you said you live by: take care of myself so I can take care of others.
Take care of others.
Okay.
Don't hurt yourself and don't hurt others. Use everything for your learning, growth, and upliftment.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Jackie.
Okay, Annie Romanos. Hopefully I said that right.
Thanks, Amy.
Hey guys. Hi Annie. Hey, speaking from New Zealand, it's morning here. My question's probably been answered, but maybe it won't hurt to go again because I think it is quite a global one. Dare I make a global kind of comment? But I've been, like you talked about, dark and inaction for a couple of times over the webinar, and I've been dark and inaction for quite some time. I'm going through a divorce, the death of both my parents, and I think I'm kind of been in a depression over the last few months. So I've been quite inactive with my community. I've really only been showing up and serving my current client base. And I'm not quite sure how to, well, here's the thing. I'm not sure if I should be in action. I think that's the first question. And then the how-to's not as hard, because I think you've answered that with a couple of the people who've talked today. The question is, should I be in action? I don't have a coach at the moment. I'm in the middle of this, going through the settlement, and I don't want to go into debt just at the moment.
Sure.
So yeah, that's, I guess that's my question.
I so appreciate your question, Annie. And I think it's a really good one, right? Because I don't ever want to be in a situation where I'm like, shh. If I have a should on it, it's not helpful, right? It's like, Annie, you have a lot going on. It's really okay to only take care of the clients you have. It's really okay. Like, there is full permission. We all get to decide what our bandwidth is.
Mm.
And I trust your internal sense of what your bandwidth is. Now, you get to look at, well, do I want to lean out a little? Maybe that will make me feel better. Like, maybe that will help me if I'm feeling low to be of service. Maybe I'll lean out 5% more. I love that idea, right? If I lean out, not 100%, but like 5% more, and I see, and you can calibrate, right? You can be like, yeah, that didn't work for me. Nope. I need more time with me. Or you might be like, wow, that was amazing for me. That was helpful to me. And you can kind of test it a little. And you might be like, I'm pretty clear. Like, even you asking the question, Annie, might mean no.
Yeah.
It's like, the question I would have is there something you're making it mean if you don't? Like, reach out to a bunch of people. Is there something you're making it mean if you only serve the people you have and take care of yourself?
I guess the question I have around that, thank you, is that as a professional, and this is the way I earn my money and put food on the table and so on and so forth, am I making it too personal? Like, I think a couple of the times I've heard Steve Chandler talk about that, about being, you know, professional. This is a job, you know, it's like you wouldn't have a lawyer not turn up because, or a doctor, you know, like, this is a job. And so I'm like, I'm just wondering what that line is. And am I making it too personal? Should I just put that Turning Pro hat on and say, show up, serve, and feel better? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I think it's important to ask yourself, see, it depends. My answer would be, it depends.
Yeah.
It depends on all sorts of variables, right? It's like, there's no hard answer. There's no hard line, yes or no. You are a professional coach. And I know coaches right now who are only serving their clients and taking care of their families. They don't, financially, they're okay for a couple months. And that's where they're at. Right? And that, there's no wrong making in that. Like, but it doesn't mean, I mean, Annie, at some point you're going to turn the volume back up, right? Because this is your job.
Yeah. Mm.
So that's a given, correct?
Mm. Yeah.
So it seems like the volume is only turned down temporarily.
Mm. Yeah.
Would that be accurate?
Yeah. Well, that's right. But, you know, the other side of things is that, you know, practically I can't really afford to turn the volume down for that long.
So then there's your answer.
Mm.
That's the answer.
Yeah.
So you know what you have, and you know how far you can go before you have to turn back the volume up.
Yeah.
That's the answer. And that's a really practical answer. And that's for everybody, right? Like, it's not a, that's not a, ooh, it's how I feel. It's called, what do I have in my bank account? What will work for me? And everyone has different thresholds for how long they're willing to tolerate the amount in their bank account, right? There are people I know will be like, oh, I'm at 20 bucks, time to start getting some clients. And I have coaches who are like, I have $500,000 and I need a client now. Like, this is not okay. It is way too low. And we could all go, what's up with that? But it's like, it's their psychic threshold.
Yeah.
Is that helpful?
Yeah, that's helpful. And I just, the last piece on that is when, you know, as I move more into action and offering, I guess just want to reiterate, it's not about me. I don't have to make excuses about where I've been for the last 3 or 4 months.
No.
It's how are you? What's up for you? That sort of thing. You know, it's about them. Yeah. Okay.
And Annie, you being quiet for 3 or 4 months is a great demonstration for people that sometimes we need to do that.
Yeah.
They're like, where you been? You could be like, I've been going through a lot personally that I've had to handle.
Yeah.
That's human.
Good. Yeah.
Is that helpful?
Thank you.
You're so welcome, Annie, and so much good thoughts to you in New Zealand.
Thanks. Yeah.
All right, Jude Luttrell. She's next. Jude.
Is she still, Hey Jude? Amber, you can start singing Hey Jude.
You can sing it.
Can you hear
There she is.
me? Great.
Now we can hear you.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Hi. I think like the lovely lady from New Zealand, she kind of said what I was thinking is that a lot of my questions have already been answered. But to get to the subject line, when you diagram sentences and you got to find the noun and the verb and whatever as you diagram the sentence, and I'm looking at diagramming what's going on in my life right now. And I'm very active in regard to, I have been procrastinating, getting a marketing person to work with. And when this thing hit, I went, screw it. You know, if I don't do it now, I created my book 12 years ago. And I have my own coach that I'm working with, and I'm doing some shamanic work. I have 3 clients. This is my first question. I have 3 clients that have already paid, and I have offered up simply like what you were talking about. Let's do a bonus call. Let's just get together and see what's happening with you. I'll just listen. And I can't get them reined in. And of course, one of them is a doctor at UCLA, so I know that she's very busy. But the other 2, whatever their issues are at the time, I would love to be able to bring them in and be of service to them. And I don't exactly know, I mean, I touched base with them doing soft texts, but I wanted to know what you might have to offer in a situation like that.
These are current clients who are paying you?
They've already paid, yeah.
So are they on your calendar for their regular sessions?
I can't even get them. They're saying just, I'm too caught up with this right now. I can't do anything. I'll get back to you. And they've already paid for 6 months, so.
Yeah, see for me, so Jude, one of the questions I have is prior to this occurring, and this is for everyone, when you start someone on 6 months of coaching, are there clear agreements that you talk them through?
Yes.
And is one of the agreements called you show up for your sessions?
Yes, and but I don't know exactly how to lean heavily, not heavily into it, because I know I can't lean heavily into anything right now. But yes, I have a contract too, and it's like, yes, you show up for your sessions, and they keep canceling because I've got this problem at home and I've got this going on and I can't do it. And
if I have a client where that's going on, I'm calling them and I'm saying, let's talk. We need 15 minutes. And I literally pick up the phone and I'm like,
okay.
So we're going to get on the phone. And I call them and I say, it's important that we talk. We just need a short call. Now, if they answer the phone, even better. I want to be like, hey, I'm so glad we're talking live. I want us to be able to talk for the next 10 minutes. And I want to slow way down, because if a client right now is like, I can't use my coach because there's too many things going on, I want to be like, we got to slow this down because something's gone off the rails here. Called you.
Yeah.
Because if you're not using your coach right now when you're challenged, tell me more. Like, tell me more. I want to really be like, wow, because, you know, our agreement is unless there's a medical emergency, you show up for the sessions.
Yes. Okay, the phone call is the key right there, because I have been texting a little bit too much, and the emailing part of it. So I appreciate for that personal touch right there. That's essentially what we're all talking about right here, is to lean in with the personal side of us. So I really appreciate that. And as soon as I get off the phone, I will do that. And then secondly, going to the dark place. I mean, I've got a lot of stuff to do, but I'm a single woman. I live by myself with my 2 cats. Doesn't that sound like a story? Single woman, 2 cats. And I find myself getting distracted and getting actually very lonely because I miss the connection that I have with being very tactile with other people. And so when that kind of sinks in, it starts seeping in, I freeze a little bit. And I watch Netflix, and I'm not as productive. So at 11:30 last night, I was down on my hands and knees cleaning my bathroom floor. Okay. My bathroom is very, very clean right now because I have a housekeeper once a month, and I'm not having her come. I'm just going to pay her because I don't want her to be here. But I realize all the work and all the tools and the techniques that I learned at school and that I keep teaching myself. But I find the important part is staying very present, because I know when I'm down on my hands and knees at 11:30 cleaning my bathroom floor that I'm spiraling, and then I have to do a whole lot of self-talk to get myself out of it, which I do. But here's the subject of the diagramming of the sentences. I'm very sad.
Sure.
Yeah, this is like coming up right now. I'm very sad. I understand having to sequester myself and isolate myself. I understand that when I'm talking to friends, I always try to stay very up and positive, because that's what everybody needs right now. I do have a
challenge you on that.
Yes, please. Challenge.
So with your friends, what would make you think that you need to stay up and positive with your friends?
I think because I always get feedback from them that I'm always up and positive and it really helps them. So I think it's obviously it's my thing of not wanting to intrude on that space by coming up with my wah. So I'm always the fixer.
Yeah, I offer to you, it's such a beautiful opportunity, right? To get real and to say, I'm lonely and I'm scared and I'm sad and I miss connecting. Like that's what, yeah.
No, go ahead, please.
I just offer to you, like remember, if health of the healer is what Steve Chandler calls it. And it's like, if I'm not utilizing my personal relationships to restore myself when it's necessary for me, it's like, then I'm not going to be able to serve others in a real way. So I have people I can rely on, and I can say to them, I'm low, I'm scared, or I'm panicking. And I want to invite you, that could actually deepen your friendships, Jude, if you let them see that part of yourself.
I think that back to Steve Chandler and expectation versus what is it now?
Yes.
Yeah, he did that video on it. Oh, I see Amy's husband. Thank you. Hi. Anyway, I'll get Carolyn back. Are you there?
I'm here.
Are you there, Carolyn?
Yep.
Okay, now I see Amy. There you are. Oh, expectation versus agreement. When Steve Chandler was talking about that and talking about expectations. So I think what happens, I have shown my vulnerability, and I don't really have a problem with it anymore. But maybe I do.
Jude, based on what you're saying, it sounds like there might be.
When I do, stay on top of things. There might be what?
There might be opportunity to allow yourself to be more messy right now, given what's occurring. Things don't feel tidy for people right now.
Okay.
Right? They just don't, myself included, right? My feelings don't feel tidy. They're not very organized right now. Sometimes I'm great. Sometimes all of a sudden at a dime, I can get really like, boom. It's like, we want, there's room for messiness right now. Things don't always need to be tidy. And this is not a time for tidiness. This is a time for room for like being messy with our friends.
I like that.
I'm using the word messy because you were up at 11:30 at night cleaning your bathroom. And that would say to me that like, we do what we can control. And a really clean bathroom, you can control right now.
Yeah.
But I wonder about the feelings. Is there room for the feelings to be messy while your bathroom is really clean?
I like that, because of the kind of person that I've always been, and I feel that I've backed off a lot as I'm working with clients, is not trying to control the situation. So me trying to control everything, I have to even, thank you for this, because I have to even say, it's okay if you're out of control right now.
Absolutely.
You know, you don't have the answers to it. I understand. Wear a mask, don't wear a mask. Buy toilet paper, don't buy toilet paper. I'm not one of those people that went out and bought toilet paper, mind you. But do I do it this way? Do I do it that way? And it changes all the time. And I get that, but that underlying sadness. So, I mean, just hearing everybody else and what they're going through right now is very helpful for me, because then I don't feel as alone. You know, my cats are very dependent on me right now. It's making me crazy.
I just want to offer to you, Jude, and for everyone, like there can be a lot of room for us to be messy right now with those close to us. It's like, I don't want to inflict on my family, right? Like, I don't want to like inflict my panic or my despair or my sadness, but I also am real. Like there are times I just cry and I'm scared, and I want there to be room for that. And that you lean on the people and let them know I'm feeling messy. And I need a place to be able to be messy. And we all want that to be okay. And even if we have one person we can be messy with.
That's great. Thank you.
I
think that's,
you're so welcome, Jude. So much love to you. Hey, Amy, let's take one more, okay?
So the last hand raise is actually Lindsay Schwan.
Nice.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you, Amber. So I have always wanted to lead a retreat, and after the calls that you guys did in December and November, I launched my retreat on March 1st. And it is not until mid-September. I'm not like freaking out about that. However, the deposit is non-refundable after June 1st. And so that's where I'm kind of in this living in the uncertainty of where do I go with that and what do I do with that for the people who have said, I want to do this, this is great, and then the brakes went put on with, you know.
Lindsay, do you mean people have paid their deposit?
Nobody has paid a deposit.
So tell me your question.
So my question is,
you're talking about the deposit you put down for the
right. So we've had, 10 people register by June 1st, and that's kind of our cancellation date, so to speak. Yeah. Do I guess acknowledge it with those people that have said we're interested, and say, I know there's a lot of uncertainty right now, and here's how we're going to work through this, and I don't even know what the work through it would look like. So that's what my question is. Any insight on that?
Well, I mean, Amber might have thoughts. One thing I would be doing is I would be going back to the location and saying, can we extend this out? Okay. Like, can I have till July?
Okay.
Because the worst thing they're going to say is no.
Right.
And then you can say, well, if you don't, I might not be doing any retreat with you.
Okay.
Because people are going to be more flexible right now, right? Like people are like, they want your business, right? So
Right.
they're going to be more flexible. So if that gives you some room, I would ask.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yep, that's perfect step one, and I love that. Thank you.
Like, let's ask. And then in terms of people, like, I mean, look, we have people in the school who are looking at moving things like that to September, October.
Okay.
And they're building in a caveat, right? And the caveat is we're going to do this in September, October, unless there's something that's clear that we won't. And then I'm going to do something else.
Okay.
Called, you're all going to come to my house.
Okay.
If we
Perfect.
can't go to a foreign country or we can't go, right? Like hopefully by September, October, you could have 10 people at your house.
Right.
In a tent outside.
Right.
Right? Like that, those are my thoughts. Amber, what do you want to say about that?
I'm going to be quick. I have another call at 1. So Lindsay, what I would do as far as on the enrollment front right now, you can get people in, meaning they can start putting their deposit and you can add in more value starting now, right? So they get a monthly individual session. They get, a 2-group calls starting 2 months before to prepare them, right? Start adding in value because that will incentivize them to put their money in. So then they have this to look forward to.
Perfect.
And they get support now. They get coaching now. And that's a high incentive for people, right? If you say, look, if you register now in the next 24 hours, I'm going to put in 2 individual coaching sessions that we can book right now.
Perfect. Perfect. This is all wonderful. Thank you both.
Lindsay, thank you. So everybody, I just want you to know, I'm so glad you came today. And I just want you to know, like, in a larger sense, right? This is a important time for us and it's a rich time and there's room for permission to be right where you are. And my main thing is don't go dark. You can feel dark, but don't go dark, right? Don't go dark. Reach out if you're called to reach out. It's like we can be in action right now. And just know that I'm thinking about you all and holding for all of you for next steps in your practice and in your life right now. And lots of love to everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much. Much love.